Hi everybody, this is the Baseball HUD, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion. Your host, HUD, and welcome back to another visit to the insane asylum known as WFAN.
They're coming to take me away, ha-ha, they're coming to take me away, ho-ho, hee-hee, ha-ha, to the funny fun.
And welcome back to the insane asylum, the nervous hospital known as WFAN. And again, we're going to talk about Craig Carton, and of course, he has returned to the fan. And he did his show on Monday. A lot of interesting things happened on Monday, in particular with him. He had Chris Christie, the former governor of New Jersey. He's also a part of the Mets front office, part of the Mets board. I guess he called in to wish them well. Him and the psycho killer, Chris McMonagle. But I thought it was interesting, before we get into this video, that he did not discuss any kind of political thing that had happened in the Mets clubhouse, and I think that is not good to have somebody in the Met front office, above the front office, not talk about it. But I guess he's not the ownership. But I have a video on that on the Baseball HUD too. But Carton, who has taken responsibility for his life, has made it a point to let everybody know he's taking responsibility for his life. He's not gambling anymore. I don't know if he's grifting people anymore, but I know he's not gambling, according to what he said on his show. It was also big news as well that the Carton show is simulcast on SNY, which I had questioned whether he was going to be on there. Well, it didn't seem to have a problem. Evan Roberts, uneven Evan Roberts. Not only did he give up his afternoon show, but he also gave up his TV show. That's great. That's great business there, uneven. But Carton had a lot of interesting things to say. But the most interesting thing he said, was in the morning, because he made an appearance on Boomer and Gio, a.k.a. Norman and Gregory, the morning show at WFAN, and he started basically saying that he did not take any responsibility for his show being crap and being canceled. He blames it on Fox Sports. He's taking responsibility for everything but that. It's your name, it's your show, it's your responsibility to make the TV gig be successful. This is awful announcing. I could have, used Barrett Media, but I got this one first. Craig Carton claims FS1 ratings dropped 40% when they took his name off the show. Craig Carton defended his tenure at FS1, claiming ratings dropped 40% after his name was removed and another 60% after the Breakfast Ball. Terrible names, by the way. But as you know, he was at WFAN from 2007 to 2017 and resigned because he had to be in litigation because he had been arrested for all kinds of horrible things, one of which was grifting people to grift money out of them. He took $5.3 million and used that money to pay off his gambling debts. So he served time in prison. He returned to WFAN in 2020, stayed there till 2023, and then he up and left to go work at Fox Sports and had this terrible show on TV. But he still was on the fan on the weekends doing this, "Hi, my name is Craig, I got a problem." His anti-gambling show. It's weird that he, is an anti-gambler, but he works for a gambling racket and FanDuel. Strange. Craig Carton's first order of business Monday morning wasn't promoting his return to WFAN afternoons. It was rewriting the story of why he left. Appearing on Norman and Gregory hours before his debut show with Chris McMonagle, a.k.a. the Psycho Killer, Carton spent several minutes defending his 3-year run at FS1 and pushed back against the perception that his shows failed. Quote, the highest rated quarter hours in the history of FS1 in the morning, Carton said of his short-lived show. The one that dropped 40% when they took my name off the wall, the one that dropped another 60% when they kicked me out of the building altogether. It was called Breakfast Ball. Carton did conceded that the television experiment didn't end the way he hoped, but maintained the story hadn't been told correctly. Interesting. Was it the highest rated show of all time? No, he continued. Was it the highest rated quarter hours? I don't know what that means. Ever had in the time slot? Yes. Did the show lose ratings when my name came off it? Yes. All tangible. But Fox was also very, very good to me and continues to be good to me to this. Oh, good to me. Well, supposedly, just reading this. Was it the highest rated quarter hours they've ever had? I don't know what that means. If it's not the highest rated show, then what does that mean? I'm not a TV guy. I don't know what that means. FS1 gave Carton 3 separate opportunities to host morning television from 2022 to 25. The Craig Carton Show launched in September of 2022 with former MLB player Cody Decker and rotating analyst. Carton initially juggled both the FS1 show and his WFAN afternoon slot with uneven Evan Roberts for nearly a year. In 2023, Fox Sports 1 rebranded the show, adding David Jacoby. Jacoby had just left ESPN after 23 years, where he co-hosted Jalen and Jacoby with Jalen Rose. All corporate people. Everybody's a corporate person. Carton left WFAN entirely to focus on television full-time, reportedly on a 7-figure deal. It was his second attempt to make the format work, after the first version struggled to find an audience. After Undisputed collapsed, following Skip Bayless's departure in 2024, Fox Sports 1 retooled its entire morning lineup. In August of 24, Carton was given a third chance with a completely reimagined format. The show was rebranded as Breakfast Balls. Breakfast Ball. I think Breakfast Ball sounds better. It's catchy. Talking about balls. They're talking about, baseballs, footballs, basketballs. Really. With Danny Parkins from Chicago 670, The Score, and Mark Shruliff as co-hosts. The entire FS1 morning block was struggling to compete with ESPN. Undisputed never matched First Take's ratings during its 8-year run. The Craig Carton Show in its various forms never found an audience. Breakfast Ball couldn't break through despite featuring 2 successful radio hosts and a 3-time Super Bowl champion. Quote, the animal's different, obviously. TV versus radio, and the companies are different, There are rules about what you can do, what you can't do. It was a great experience, I'd never done it before. I don't think he'll be doing it again anytime soon. Carton spent a decade dominating New York morning radio of Boomer Esiason before his 2017 arrest on fraud charges. After returning to WFAN in 2020, he and Evan Roberts built a successful afternoon show before the Icon left for FS1 in 2023. His style, big personality, willingness to push boundaries, improvisational energy worked in New York radio, but didn't translate to national cable television, competing against ESPN's morning lineup. That's real insane asylum on ESPN's First Take. WFAN is crazy. Carton still hosts the Craig Carton Show podcast through Fox and Red Sea Ventures, which launched in September of 2025. The continued relationship suggests things didn't end poorly between Carton and Fox, even after Breakfast Balls was canceled. Carton's return to WFAN marks his third stint with the station. He co-hosted Boomer and Carton from 2001. We know about that. Following his arrest before resigning, following his arrest by the FBI. A lot of initials here: FBI, WFAN, FS1. After serving 12 months of a 36 to 42-month sentence for fraud, he returned to WFAN in 2020 to co-host afternoons with Uneven Evan until leaving for Fox Sports. And again, he will host the Carton Show and Afternoon Drive from alongside the psycho killer Chris McMonagle, his former producer. Now, what's interesting about all this is that this is a guy who has taken responsibility for everything, but he doesn't take responsibility for the show being a disaster. And that it is true. You have different kind of audiences and different platforms, obviously. But meanwhile, the SNY show There's no problems there. But then again, it's not really. SNY is not really spending a lot of money. They just set up cameras, and if they get an audience, great. If they don't get an audience, great too. They just want some programming on it before a game. But that was something that was under the radar that the host didn't even notice. But this is the Craig Carton show. The Craig Carton show will it'll do well, but we'll see how long it lasts because comebacks don't last that long. I'm not wishing any bad on anybody or anything on him, but you know what? Comebacks don't last long. That's just how it is. You could be around for a long time, and then the comeback's not nearly as long. Look at Mike Francesa. Mike Francesa came back, and that was not nearly as successful the second time around by himself. And but this is the kind of stuff you get, and then the lack of accountability from somebody in the nervous hospital known as WFAN.
They're coming to take me away, ha ha. They're coming to take me away, ho ho, hee hee, ha ha. To the funny fun.